All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we've got an absolutely incredible story of resilience for you. It's about what happens when your entire life shatters in a single instant, and the monumental fight that comes next, the fight to redefine your own limits. This is the story of Doug Healey.
Think about it, right? We all kind of build our lives on this foundation of what we think is stable, what we expect tomorrow to look like. But sometimes, in the span of a single breath, that whole foundation can just crack. And that universal truth, that's the very heart of the story we're diving into today.
Okay, so let's get into it. To really get the comeback, you gotta understand the fall, right? This is the moment that set everything in motion, the initial devastating blow.
So picture this. It's 2005. For Doug Healey, it was a completely ordinary day. Just another day at work, you know? The kind of day you don't even think twice about until that one moment you can never, ever forget.
And then, just like that, it wasn't ordinary anymore. In a flash, everything changed. A workplace accident, sudden and severe. The normal day was just gone. And in its place, pain, confusion, and this terrifying feeling that something was really, really wrong.
The diagnosis comes in and it's just brutal, unambiguous. This wasn't some minor injury you bounce back from in a few weeks. This was catastrophic. A spine, the very core of your body, fractured in 3 different places. The physical mountain he had to climb was immense.
And of course, with that kind of physical reality comes the professional opinion. Based on all their training, all their experience, the medical experts delivered the verdict. Now, they didn't say never, but let's be real. A word like unlikely from a doctor, that can feel just as final. It was the logical, rational assessment of his future.
Okay, but this is where the whole story pivots. It stops being about what happened to him and starts being about the choice he made inside his own head. This is all about the power of perspective when you're facing what seems like impossible odds.
Just look at the power of a single word here. It's incredible. The doctors, they said unlikely. A word that's just loaded with all this medical data and doubt. But what did Doug Healey hear? He heard not impossible. He somehow filtered out all the doubt and just clung to that tiny sliver of possibility. And the gap between those two ideas, that's where his whole comeback was built.
And look, this wasn't just some clever word game he was playing with himself. It was a total, fundamental shift in his mindset. Choosing to focus on that tiny sliver of a chance, instead of the overwhelming odds against him, that's what gave him the fuel he needed to even start the fight. That single choice, it was everything.
So that one shift in thinking, that's what leads us to the final act of this incredible story, the comeback. This is where that new perspective meets action, pure grit, and an unbelievable amount of hard work.
His journey started from rock bottom, absolute zero feeling in his legs. From there, it was just this brutal grinding process of relentless rehab. The kind of quiet work that happens day in and day out, fighting for every tiny bit of progress. Then, defying that prognosis, he walked again. But check out that last step. He didn't just get back on his feet, he rose to the level of training champions.
And that, right there, is the key. For Doug Healey, recovery wasn't about just getting back to where he was before the accident. It was about pushing past it, about using that whole experience to forge a new path, an even stronger one. The finish line just kept moving forward. So yeah, he didn't just learn to walk again. He dedicated himself to the science of strength and conditioning. He started coaching other athletes, training public figures, and he even took on one of the most high-pressure jobs in sports, preparing heavyweight boxer David Tua for his massive comeback fight against Shane Cameron. Think about that. He took a man known for his power and got him ready for war.
So what's the big takeaway from all this? This story isn't just about one man's amazing journey. It's really an explainer on the nature of adversity itself, and it leaves us all with a pretty fundamental question. The point, the thing to really grab onto here, is that while we might not get to choose what happens to us, we have absolute power over how we respond. Doug Healey's story is just a masterclass in that response, in hearing unlikely and deciding it means game on.
And that really brings us right to the final thought. See, the real question this story asks isn't about Doug Healey anymore. It's about you.
Every single one of us is going to face our own knockdowns, big and small. So when your moment hits and life knocks you flat on your back, what are you going to do? Do you accept the count, or do you find a way to get back up and start swinging?